Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jumbo. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We have an amazing show for you today. 3 amazing authors will be with us today. Our favorite school librarian, Nadine Popper, is going to be here with a great review of a book she thinks you will enjoy reading with your kids. Our featured guest is Alisha McBride, telling us all about I Love You When. And right now we're going out to San Diego to meet 14-year-old author Sophia Namazy. Joining us right now from San Diego in the great state of California, we have a young author. Her book is called Pigtails, Ponytails, and Fairy Tales. Please welcome to the show, Sophia Namazy. Sophia, how are you?
Hi, good. Thank you for having me.
I am really excited that you're on here. I just received my copy of Pigtails, Ponytails, and Fairy Tales, and it's an absolutely beautiful book. The illustrations are wonderful. Can you tell us about the story?
So my book is about a girl with crazy hair and 2 fairies who come during the night and mess her hair up. And towards the end of the book, she finds a solution to her problem.
You know, I'm having that problem right now because during this time of quarantine, I am here and my hair, which I don't have very much on the top of my head, but on the sides of my head, I think there's some fairies coming in and messing with it because it is just a mess. What inspired you to write this book?
Well, my family inspired me to write this book. My mom would make up stories about my sister waking up. She would wake up with crazy hair every day, and she would make up stories that fairies were coming during the night and messing it up.
Cool. Now, I understand that you're really close with your sister and brother in real life. And that your brother was sick when he was younger. Is that true?
Yes, we are all very close, and over the years, Max has been healthy, but he still needs to travel to Boston to get checkups every year.
So what was the response from your family, your parents, when you told them that you wanted to write a children's book?
I don't think I could have written the book or published it without the support of my family. They were really happy when I showed them that my sketches and that I really wanted to write and publish a book.
Now, I'm told that writing and drawing are 2 of your favorite things to do. Can you tell us about the process of putting together Pigtails, Ponytails, and Fairy Tales?
I do love drawing, and I started the book by making sketches, and then the story came naturally after. And my sketches were basically drawings like a comic book, and that's what made it easier to come up with the story. And I really enjoyed it when it came all together. And I was kind of worried that the illustrator wouldn't have the same visions as me, but it came out really well.
That's wonderful. Was that weird, kind of handing off your story and putting it into the hands of an illustrator?
Yeah, it was weird, but we worked together to get a great finished product.
Awesome. Now, you were mentioning that 100% of the proceeds are going to go to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute that's located here in Boston. What inspired you to, I know you wanted to help your brother, but that's a very generous gesture. Was there anything more than just the fact that they've helped your brother that inspired you to make that choice?
Well, every time we go to the hospital, we see kids like Max who are healthy or some who are very sick. And I wanted to help kids like Max who have to go through those things and tests. And I wanted to inspire them. Can you
share some advice or encouragement for listeners out there who might be having a bad day to help them remember, there's magic in their lives?
I think it's just a really hard time for all of us. We miss our friends and teachers and all the activities we used to do. I've become close to my family and the book, and I would say find magic in the ordinary, just like the book teaches you.
When you're not writing, what kind of things do you like to do?
I love playing tennis. I love being with my friends and being at the beach a lot.
Hopefully you'll be able to get out and be back with your friends really soon. Well, tell everybody where they can connect with you and find you online.
You can find me at sophianamazy.com and my Facebook page.
Awesome. We've had a pleasure speaking to the author of Pigtails, Ponytails, and Fairy Tales, Sophia Namazy. Hey, Sophia, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
What an amazing young woman, Sophia Namazy. Be sure to check out Pigtails, Ponytails, and Fairy Tales. Right now, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to have a very powerful, very emotional interview with Alisha McBride. Join us on the line right now from right outside of Philadelphia in the beautiful Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. She is the author of a touching new book called I Love You When. Please welcome to the show, Alisha McBride. Alisha, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. I'm really excited to have you on.
I
Love You. I Love You When deals with something that is near and dear to my heart, and that's unconditional love for our kids. Tell us about your story, please.
You're going to make me cry first thing.
That's my job.
Oh my gosh. Well, I got the tissue box ready. You can't see it, but I've got it.
Okay.
I originally created the first few lines from my oldest son, Aiden, to recite to him at bedtime. And when I got to the tinky feet part, he loved it. I would grab his toes and smell his feet and kiss his feet, and he loved it. And I thought, at the time, one day I'll finish the poem, I'll create artwork for it, and I'll turn it into a book. And then Julia got sick. Julia's mom, Amy, is my best friend, and Julia was part of my life. In October of 2018, Amy was losing her dad to brain cancer, and they took Julia to the ER because she had a stiff neck. Amy told me that the doctors thought it was cancer, and I didn't believe her. I didn't believe her. Her dad was in the hospital actively dying from cancer in his brain, and there was no way that Julia could have brain cancer too. That doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. She wasn't even 2 years old. Her birthday was in December. She wasn't 2. And Amy's dad passed away one day after the doctors told her her daughter had brain cancer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to help Amy. So I started a GoFundMe, and I finished the poem. I created artwork. I published a book on Amazon. That I'd never done that before. And half the profits went directly to Amy for Julia. Hospitals are expensive. She was traveling back and forth from the Philly suburbs into Philadelphia at the Children's Hospital. She was doing that every day. Anyway, so it all happened really fast. And then in January of 2019, Julia was given days to live. Amy sent out a plea for prayers on Facebook, and Julia's story went viral. And then a miracle happened. I'm personally convinced that it was a combination of prayers and energy healing and massive amounts of CBD oil that saved her life. She was able to start chemo. She had an amazing year.
Awesome.
And Amy and Reed and 100,000 followers got to spend a whole other year with Julia. Anyway, the chemo worked while she was on it, but she started to decline after the chemo stopped. And then on March 15th this year, 2020, Julia passed away. And I don't want people to forget about her and her miracle. I mean, it was a miracle she was given a year. She had an extra year. So I'm keeping the book going. And now for every book sold, a donation is made to the Cordoma Foundation so we can help save another little Julia in the future. The chordoma is the type of cancer that Julia had.
That's
so for every book.
No. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, that's all right. So for every book sold, a donation is made to the Chordoma Foundation. It's great.
That's such a beautiful story. You know, it's a story of a miracle, and you know, but it's a story of a bunch of miracles, because you know, obviously the most obvious one is that you got to spend another year with Julia, but the other miracles that I think we forget sometimes is the miracle of community, the miracle of the human community that comes together. 100,000 people. I know you have a lot of friends, but you don't have 100,000 friends.
No.
You know, for 100,000 people to come together to support Julia, for you to have the heart to understand something that a lot of people don't understand. You know, we talk about insurance and, you know, hospitals and are expensive, and we think, oh, insurance covers a lot, but it doesn't cover your parking when you have to go in. It doesn't cover your gas.
Right.
And that sounds trivial, but if you're talking, I know myself living in Boston, every time you visit the hospital and you park your car, it's $20, $30, $40, which is the same in Philadelphia. And if you're a mom living in the suburbs and you need to visit your daughter every day, that can run into a couple $100 a week. And, you know, so that miracle that people will come together to support that. So many miracles, and they all kind of blossomed and sprouted through love. And that's just amazing.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. How does it feel being part? I mean, are you ever able to kind of sit back and take a breath and just kind of appreciate the fact that you've been part of this amazing miracle that's continuing?
Yeah, that's two-sided. It's hard to think about, because with that, I had actually just texted Amy the other day and said, I hope that sometime soon I get to think about Julia and not be sad. Mm-hmm. You know, part of going through the grief process is, you know, you feel like you've improved when you can think about someone and celebrate their life instead of just being sad. Mm-hmm. So I'm not there yet, but I think it'll be a good place to be. And so I'm just going to give myself permission to be where I am now and kind of compartmentalize and just kind of sit with it.
Well, it certainly wasn't my intention when I started the program to make you cry at any time during the interview. But I'm really happy that you had the courage and the empathy for us to kind of let us feel that pain and the sorrow and the grief, because I think it's really hard for a lot of people to feel that. And because it is so painful. And just listening to you, it's painful for me to listen to. It's painful, and it's also heartwarming. You know, because I can feel your pain, and I've been through pain like that, and I've lost little kids in my life, and it is heartbreaking. And just thinking about them now, you know, I'm starting to get emotional right now thinking about the kids in my life who've passed way too early. But it's important for us to know that we can get through it. And it's important for us to see others who have the courage to experience it. And then maybe we'll have the courage to experience it because we all have to deal with grief at some point.
Yeah. It's inevitable.
How are you beyond writing I Love You When and helping and being part of this loving community and supporting Amy and talking with Amy? What other kind of things are you doing to help yourself get through this process?
I personally, if you want to know about me personally, I'm watching a lot of romantic comedies because it helps. I love to laugh, and I'm trying to find, to remember the joy in life, to find the laughter, to just embrace that a little bit instead of, always sitting in it, I guess.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely makes sense. And I'm sure there are many times that after you have a good laugh, you take a breath and it might help you cry out a little bit more, more of the tears that you need to cry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us about the process of creating this artwork and creating this book. Did you ever think of yourself before you wrote that poem for your son that you were going to be a children's author?
No, no. Previously I'd never considered myself to be a writer. It was just something that kind of came out of me naturally, and I think the cool part about being a writer is when you have something to say, it just comes out and it flows. And that's sort of what this did. It just, I was talking to my son at bedtime, and the thing that I tell both my babies all the time is I love you always and no matter what. Mm-hmm. And I tell them I love you even when you make bad choices, and sometimes I make lots of bad choices. Mm-hmm. And so it just kind of came out. And I guess I don't really know how it happened. It just, I was just talking to him at bedtime, and these words just sort of started flowing out of me. And I often say things and I immediately forget what I said. So I tried really hard to remember this. And so every night I would, say a little more and add different lines, and it was fun, and my son loved it. So
that's
just
beautiful.
kind of came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those words that you tell your son are so important. I love you no matter what. And,
yeah.
And even, I recognize that you're not perfect, and you're going to make bad choices sometimes, and you're going to make mistakes, and you're going to do dumb things. And they're going to make me angry, but it's not going to stop me from loving you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's something I think is important. I think a lot of people just think it's implied. Kids just know that, and you don't have to say it. Why do you think it's important to say the words, to actually say the words so your kids can hear them?
I think they need to hear them. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you don't always just know. Sometimes you can just know, but I think it's really helpful to say the words out loud because you give more power to them. Mm-hmm. And you sort of set it in stone. I love you no matter what. Mm-hmm. And I think, with unconditional love comes acceptance. Mm-hmm. And it's acceptance of who you are now and acceptance of who you will become. Mm-hmm. There's no fear of being your true self. You are accepted and you are loved. And I think having that acceptance is a beautiful gift.
Yeah. And I think saying the words is important for us because it's important for us to hear them too.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be times when our kids make us crazy and when our kids make choices that either make us angry or that confuse us and choices that we don't really understand. But if we say those words again and again to our kids and we hear ourselves say those words, then when our kids make those choices that make us crazy or make us angry or that confuse us, it'll be easier for us to remember. Oh yeah, I got to get over this because I love this kid no matter what.
Yep. Yeah. I totally agree. What you put out there, it just solidifies.
Yeah. And that's actually, it's I think something, we feel instinctively as parents that, yeah, we have to let our kids know that we love them when they're young, when they make a mistake, when they're crying and they're sad. But it's also really important when they're facing big challenges. My kids both one was a competitive dancer, one was a football player. They both, worked really hard in school. And sometimes it would stress out about either a competition or a test. And we would sit down with them and we would say to them, hey, look, we know that you're working hard. We see that it's happening. Yeah. What's the worst that can happen? You can go out there, you can fall on your face, you can completely fail, do everything wrong, but at the end of the day, we're still going to love you.
That's right.
Yeah. How does it feel knowing that there are people out there, families out there that you'll never meet that are reading this book with their kids, and that in a big way you're helping those families say these important words to their kids?
It feels awesome. I'm super happy to be a part of that experience. It's a little piece of me, a little piece of my advice and my little 2 cents, going into everyone's homes. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Well, now that you've written the book, now that I Love You Win is available and it's making a difference in people's lives, and you understand it's making a difference in people's lives, not only through the money that it's raising, but also for, just those moments that families are sharing together, talking about this book and looking at the artwork. Have you caught the bug? Are there more books coming from the mind and the fingers of Alisha McBride?
Yes. I actually have a new book coming out for beginner empaths. It's not a kid's book. Uh-huh. It's called I Feel Too Much, a how-to guide for the beginner empath, and that'll be out sometime before the summer ends.
That sounds exciting. Sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know people are going to want to know where they can find you online so they can learn more about you and also learn more about I Love You Win.
Yes. So I have a website called healinglightempath.com. All the information on the book is there. You can also find Healing Light Empath on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram and Pinterest.
We've had such a great time speaking to the author of I Love You Win. And I really want to thank you for sharing so much with us tonight. And we've been really, really honored by speaking with Alisha McBride. Alisha, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much. This was great. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
We're going to stay in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for our third interview today. We're going up to the Lehigh Valley to speak to our favorite school librarian. Welcome to the show, Nadine Popper. Now, one of the reasons we love Nadine coming here is that she gets to tell us about some of the fantastic books that kids at her school and at other schools are reading. And today we're talking about a book called Hair Love. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct, Jed. Hair Love by Matthew Cherry.
Awesome. Well, tell us what's Hair Love all about?
Well, it's really unusual. To me, I thought it was an unusual book because not only by who it was written by, but the fact that it won so much attention really appealed to me, the topic. So the author, Matthew Cherry, he's an African-American. He was a former NFL wide receiver. Uh-huh. And this book really took off because it highlights a father who wanted to tackle his daughter's hairstyle. Like he wanted to help her get her hair just right. And what that did was, the reason why he did this book is because he wanted to have a way that fathers, especially African American fathers who often are not seen as really active in their kids' lives, And having a father do his daughter's hair is a fabulous way to connect with your daughter and your children, and to start to form memories. So when I was listening to a simple interview by Matthew Cherry, that's one of the things that he really focused on. He said that the stigma that fathers in general, but mostly African American fathers, they have this stigma that they're not active in their children's lives, when in fact that's not really true. And so this book, Hair Love, to me is just dear, because you have this little girl who wants her hair done just perfectly. Now, she's an African American little girl, and it's a special day. And we don't know what that special day is until the very, very end of the book. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to tell you what that special day is unless, of course, you prompt me and you want me to tell you what the end is.
We'll keep the secrets.
But so she wants her hair just right, so she's struggling by herself by watching a video and trying to remember how her mom did her hair. So she's failing, and she's getting upset. Well, this gets the attention of Dad. And Dad decides to step in, and he too starts to make some mistakes with her hair. He starts to put it in these really wacky styles, and the little girl is telling him, no, that's not the way to do it. He tries to put like a hat over her head, and she's getting more and more frustrated with Dad. And you can see Dad starting to get a little frustrated because he wants to make his daughter happy for this very special, special day. So finally they come up with a solution. And the hairstyle comes out perfect. And I find the book so dear because I just love the way the father, he just put everything aside that he could have done instead. He could have went out and did yard work. He could have sat in front of the TV. He could have done a number of other things, but he decided to embrace this moment and just struggle with making his daughter's hair perfect. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful story. And not only is it an award-winning book, because the book itself won it won an Academy Award. I'm not sure if you knew that. It won an Academy Award this past season for the best in short animation.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Good
Yes.
stuff.
So not only do you have this beautiful picture book, but you've got a short animated film that won an Academy Award that's just gorgeous. It really is. So I highly recommend this book for all families, for single family homes, just homes where Dad is the only parental figure. The message is so loud and clear on so many good levels.
Well, I love that this picture that you're painting is just beautiful. And one of the things that frustrates me is that there's so many depictions of fathers in the media, especially media aimed at kids, where the dad is the dope. If there's a dad there at all, and it doesn't matter if the dad, whatever race is, the dad is the dumb guy. There's a cell phone commercial on right now with a family. They have to share a phone, so the dad goes and jumps on the phone, and the daughter hits him with this, and the son kicks him out the door. And I'm looking at this, going, my goodness, it's not even all that funny, but why? What kind of picture of a family are we trying to paint here? So beautiful. What have you noticed any reactions to the book from kids at your school? Yes, we read it often late fall because I knew it was a possible Caldecott or Coretta Scott King winner.
And I always get my students ready for the ALA book awards that are always announced in late January. So this book, Hair Love, I put in front of my students months in advance of the award announcements. And they received it very well because in the school district that I work in, there's a lot of minority groups, and the kids they gravitated toward it. Mm-hmm. And they could see themselves in that. Because they have the hair that's just like that, just like the little girl, the crazy, sometimes it's in little poofy tails and sometimes it's in all those beautiful, beautiful braids that a lot of, Latino and African American children have with their hair. It's just gorgeous. So they were able to see themselves in this book, which is so important for children. So it gained a lot of attention in my school. Yes.
Absolutely. As you're speaking, I'm remembering a day about a year and a half ago when I took my niece Jimena to her hockey practice, and she came up to me. She said, "You need to put my hair in a pony fun thing." And I was struggling and I had no idea how to do it. And thankfully a woman in the stand saw me struggling, and she came over and she helped out. But it's just the fact that you take the time to try. And, this sounds like a perfect book for families to read together. Like you said, a great book for families, great books for dads to read with their kids. And it is so important for kids to see themselves in the pages of books.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. The illustrator, not only is it written by, the author is Matthew Cherry, who, like I said, is a former NFL wide receiver. But the illustrator, Vashti Harrison, her books are just simply gorgeous. So in addition to Hair Love gaining so much attention, especially at the Academy Awards, but Vashti, one of her recent books called Sway, which is spelled Sulwe, that book was just given a Coretta Scott King Illustrator Honor Award this past January. And that is a retelling of an African American folk tale. Uh-huh. And it's just simply gorgeous. So Vashti Harrison illustrated Hair Love as well as this Sway, who she's just an award-winning illustrator.
Well, we'll have to encourage everybody to check it out. That was our time. Our time with Nadine has come to an end. Hey, Nadine, I'm really excited we were able to talk today about Hair Love by Matthew Cherry. Will you come back on in a couple of weeks and tell us about another book that your kids love?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I will.
Awesome. We've been talking to our favorite school librarian, Nadine Popper. Nadine, remind everybody, please, where they can find out about the books that you've written.
You can go to my website, nadinepopper.weebly.com.
Awesome. Thanks, Nadine. Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Teresa Julian. She'll be here to tell us about her great book, The Joke Machine. That's the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. I want to thank the folks today who made today's show so very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank our guests. Let's start at the back and move our way forward. We want to thank our favorite school librarian, Nadine Popper. Want to thank our first guest, Sophia Namazy. We also want to thank our featured guest, Alisha McBride. I want to thank my incredible team here in Reedville. Of course, I want to thank my amazing producer, Fatima Khan. I want to thank my awesome author ambassador, Peggy Cotto. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me, but most of all, I want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.